When Isabelle Vance, the CEO, returned from her overseas trip, it felt like the world had tilted on its axis. Ethan, the boyfriend who had once clung to her, begging her to marry him, seemed like a different person. The constant barrage of texts had ceased. He didn't even reply when she messaged him first. When they met, he offered no greeting. Puzzled, she finally stopped him. "Ethan, why haven't you contacted me lately?" He just offered a faint smile, saying nothing. The reason was simple. I was done. My heart had finally given up on her. "Fine, don't tell me if you don't want to. I won't ask again," Isabelle said, tossing a watch onto the table with studied casualness. "This is for you." "What's this for? Is today some special occasion?" "My last business trip," she replied nonchalantly. "You were so well-behaved while I was gone. This is your reward." For a moment, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Before, whenever she traveled, I'd remind her endlessly to be safe, to text me when she landed. But hours, sometimes days, would pass in silence. Frantic, I'd pepper her with messages, call her number again and again. She despised it, ignoring texts, hanging up calls. Terrified for her safety, I'd contact her friends, even consider calling the police. Only then would a curt message arrive. "Don't you know I'm busy? Don't you have your own life?" We'd fought about it countless times. This time, I hadn't bombarded her. Not because I'd finally learned restraint. It was because, just last week, as my finger hovered over the call button, I'd scrolled past a post from her assistant, Julian Hayes. There, in a sea of roses, stood Isabelle, radiant in a wedding gown, bouquet in hand, gazing adoringly at Julian. "Marry me, Julian," she'd said, her voice captured in the video clip. "I want to be your woman, now and forever." Julian had swept her into his arms, tears of joy streaming down his face. They kissed passionately amidst the flowers, a picture of undying romance. A woman proposing to the man she loved. How romantic. But seeing it, a bitter wave washed over me. All my devotion, all my worry, had just been self-indulgent delusion. My care, my efforts, meaningless. I deleted the carefully crafted message I drafted. Setting down the phone, a complex mix of emotions churned within me, but mostly, a profound sense of finality. 7 years of foolish devotion had finally reached their end. So now, whatever Isabelle did, it barely registered. I looked up at her, making no move towards the watch. "No need. Consider it my wedding gift to you." A flicker of shock crossed her face. "You're talking about that social media post, aren't you? You don't have to be sarcastic." She waved a dismissive hand. "The proposal was just a game. It's not like we're actually getting married." A game? It looked pretty real to me. My patience had evaporated. I didn't want to hear any more excuses. "Isabelle, let's break up." Her brow furrowed, her expression instantly hardening. "Break up? If anyone's doing the dumping, it's me. Since when do you get to break up with me?" Years of desperately trying to please her, catering to every whim, terrified of upsetting her. It had cultivated this arrogance, this absolute self-absorption. Arguing further was pointless. Ignoring her entitlement, I turned and walked into the bedroom, closing the door and dialing my mother's number. "Mom, I thought it through. I'm willing to come home, take over the family business, and agree to the marriage alliance with the Lockwood family." "Oh, Ethan, that's wonderful. You've finally seen sense. Don't worry about the wedding details. The family will handle everything." Arranged marriages among families like ours were always like this, focused on interests, not emotions. My mother's voice trembled with excitement. I could feel her relief through the phone. My parents had always wanted me back, managing the Cole assets, married into the Lockwood fold. 7 years ago, against their fierce opposition, I had insisted on moving to this city to build a company with Isabelle. I'd poured my soul into realizing her dream, working relentlessly, sacrificing everything. The company grew, became successful, but as it flourished, she grew colder, more distant. Especially since Julian Hayes was hired as her assistant a year ago. Her eyes simply didn't see me anymore. If that was the case, why keep clinging to a shadow? That night, I slept in the guest room. Isabelle was in the master bedroom. From next door, I could occasionally hear her sickeningly sweet voice, undoubtedly on another long call with Julian. A short while later, a message popped up on my phone. Julian had forwarded me a voice clip. It was a recording of his call with Isabelle. Beyond the flirtatious banter, Isabelle was telling him a story in a soft, gentle voice, lulling him to sleep. I ignored his provocation. I was just tired, my eyes heavy, wanting only sleep. I switched off my phone, shutting out the noise. We hadn't shared a room since Julian arrived. At first, the separation had kept me awake nights. Now, it just felt like liberation. Maybe I didn't love her as much as I once thought. The next morning, I took my resignation letter to the office. As I walked in, I saw Isabelle carrying a cream cake into the CEO's office, the office I was never allowed to enter. Through the glass partition, I saw her perched on the edge of the desk, spooning cake into Julian's mouth with a doting expression, wiping a smudge of cream from his lips. Julian saw me too. A smirk spread across his face, his eyes glinting with challenge. He leaned in and whispered something in Isabelle's ear. The next moment, Isabelle stood up and closed the blinds. Everyone in the company knew about Isabelle and Julian. She made no secret of it, but she had never once acknowledged me, her supposed partner, to any of our colleagues. So, HR processed my resignation without batting an eye. Just a few days for the handover, they said. Before leaving for the day, Julian found me. Ethan, he began, using the more familiar address Chuan Gu might imply. Isabelle and I are going out for steak tonight. Want to join us? You two go ahead. I have things to do. I started to walk past him. Isabelle's voice floated from behind me, laced with annoyance. Don't mind him, Julian. You know how he is, so petty, always jealous. On the way home, Julian's social media feed popped up again. Thanks to my beautiful boss. She knew I liked motorcycles and surprised me with a Kawasaki Ninja 400. The picture showed Julian astride the bike, Isabelle's arms wrapped tightly around his waist, her body pressed against his back. I used to love riding motorcycles. Isabelle hated it. You're a grown man. Stop acting like a child. Can't you be serious? She'd scold. Eventually, she sold my bike without even telling me. But now, she'd bought Julian a motorcycle and was clinging to him on the back seat. Did she truly hate motorcycles, or was it? Enough. I wouldn't dwell on these painful thoughts. I walked home slowly. That night, after showering, I had just climbed into bed when a video call request popped up from Julian. I answered. On the screen, a very drunk Isabelle was clinging to Julian, refusing to let go. Ethan, I'm calling to prove my innocence, Julian said, his voice dripping with false sincerity. Nothing's going on between Isabelle and me. She's just drunk. As the words left his mouth, Isabelle leaned in and planted a kiss firmly on Julian's cheek. Julian grinned triumphantly. Don't get the wrong idea, Ethan. She's drunk. Mistook me for you again, he said smoothly. I'll get her a cab home right away. My heart remained utterly still. Don't trouble yourself, I replied calmly. Just get a room somewhere. I hung up before he could respond. In the early hours, a sharp knocking woke me. Julian had brought Isabelle back after all. Irritated at being disturbed, I forced myself up and opened the door. Ethan, Julian began, unable to hide his smugness. I never expected Isabelle to propose to me like that. Don't be angry about it. She initiated it, don't blame me. I looked at him wearily and shook my head. I'm not angry. A triumphant smirk spread across Julian's face. Stop pretending. If you really can't handle it, just break up with her already. Stop clinging pathetically. Even if you two somehow end up married, you'll just be wearing a green hat. His meaning, you'll be a cuckold. In the past, his words would have sent me into a rage. Now, indifference. Get out. My voice was cold. Julian shot me a contemptuous look and left. Isabelle reeked of alcohol. Sighing, I helped her towards the bathroom. As I carried her in and started to help her undress, I noticed her bra was missing, and nestled on the back of her neck was a faint, pinkish mark, a hickey. A sharp pang hit my chest. I dropped Isabelle unceremoniously and walked back to my room, shutting the door. Drifting in a half-sleep, I heard my door creak open. It was Isabelle. She slipped quietly onto the bed, wrapping her arms around me from behind. Did Julian bring me home? She murmured. My drowsiness shattered, replaced by irritation. I grunted noncommittally. Don't misunderstand, she whispered. Nothing happened between Julian and me. I've just been so busy, I haven't had a chance to explain. Her hand stroked my face. Ethan, let's have a baby. Her voice was soft, seductive. In that instant, memories flooded back, 7 years of my devotion, her indifference, the countless ways she'd hurt me for Julian's sake. Looking at her face now, I felt no desire, only a simmering rage. Maybe it was revenge. I crushed my lips against hers, roughly pulling at her thin nightgown. Just as I was about to push further, her phone rang. It was the special ringtone she'd set for Julian. She scrambled for the phone, answering immediately. After a brief, hushed conversation, she pushed me away and hurriedly dressed. Julian's sick. I need to go to the pharmacy and get him some medicine. She didn't wait for a reply. The heavy slam of the front door echoed behind her. Staring at the empty doorway, I laughed bitterly at myself. Still entertaining foolish hopes. She hadn't changed. She never would. The next morning, before work, my mother called. Ethan, the engagement party is all arranged. I've booked your flight for tonight. Her voice was bright. If you have any friends there you'd like to invite, Bring them along. The more, the merrier. Okay, Mom, I agreed. I'll definitely be home tonight. Half an hour later, stepping into the office building, I noticed colleagues whispering and casting strange glances my way. Confused but unconcerned, I headed towards my office and stopped dead. Rage surged through me. All my belongings, desk items, files, even the only framed photo I had of my late grandmother, were piled unceremoniously outside the office door. I stormed in. Julian Hayes was lounging in my chair, feet propped up on the desk. "Julian, get out." I yelled. "Did you throw my things out?" He chuckled coldly. "Haven't you figured it out yet, Ethan? This office is mine now." He gestured around expansively. "And so is your director position." He smirked. "Yes, I threw them out. Useless junk, just like you. Time for both to be kicked out of this company." Anger, pain, betrayal. A storm of emotions raged within me. I had poured years of my life into building this company's success. And Julian? He'd been here barely a year. And Isabelle? She'd cast me aside for him. Fine. I had already resigned anyway. Let him have the damn directorship. But throwing out my grandmother's photo? That, I couldn't tolerate. I bent down and picked up the framed picture. I stared hard at Julian. "You can have the director position. I don't want it." My voice was dangerously low. "But you will apologize to my grandmother." Julian scoffed, snatched the frame from my hand, threw it to the floor, and ground his heel onto it. Seeing the shattered glass, the dirty shoe print on my grandmother's smiling face, fury exploded in my head. Veins pulsed in my temples. My right fist clenched. My left hand shot out, grabbing Julian by the throat, slamming him against the wall. My right fist smashed repeatedly into his face. Blood spurted from his nose. He stared at the blood on his hand, then started howling in pain, clutching his face. As he must have intended, Isabelle heard the commotion. "Julian!" she cried, rushing into the office. She helped him up, then whirled on me, her eyes blazing. "Ethan, are you insane?" I looked at her coldly. "He asked for it." Julian, face smeared with blood and tears, whimpered pitifully. "Isabelle, it's my fault. The director position was always Ethan's. I shouldn't have." Predictably, Isabelle's fury intensified. "Attacking someone over a job title? Ethan, you're disgusting." I wanted to explain, but what was the point? She already trusted Julian unconditionally. Why humiliate myself further? I looked at them both calmly. "By the way, I forgot to tell you. I've already resigned." A moment of stunned silence, then anger flared in Isabelle's eyes. "Have you finished throwing your tantrum? First breaking up, now resigning. Do you have any idea how you're going to clean up this mess?" "Clean up?" I gave a short, harsh laugh. "Isabelle, you really are full of yourself." She frowned, clearly not expecting that response. Her tone shifted abruptly, becoming softer, placating. "Ethan, don't be like this. You can have the director job back, okay?" I snorted dismissively. "I don't want it. Give it to whoever you like." Carefully, I picked up the broken frame and started to walk out. Isabelle lunged after me, grabbing my arm. Her eyes narrowed, her jaw clenched. "Let me tell you something, Ethan," she hissed. "After you leave, not only am I giving Julian your position, but I'm going to marry him immediately. You just wait and see how much you regret this." I didn't answer, just looked at her steadily. Seeing my lack of reaction, her expression turned haughty, convinced she had regained control. I smiled faintly and pulled an envelope from my bag. "Fine by me. Actually, I'm getting married too. You're welcome to come to my wedding." I handed her the invitation. Isabelle froze, utterly stunned. "Married? You're getting married?" Her voice trembled with disbelief. I nodded. "Impossible. You're lying, aren't you?" Her voice rose slightly. "How could you suddenly be getting married?" Looking directly into her eyes, I smiled again. "My mother arranged it." Isabelle's lips trembled. I could almost see the turbulent emotions swirling behind her eyes. Crack. Her hand struck my face, hard. "How could you do this to me?" she shrieked, venting her fury. But what right did she have? Wasn't this outcome entirely her own making? "Isabelle," I said evenly, touching my stinging cheek. "After that slap, we owe each other nothing." I turned and walked away, not looking back. This time, she didn't try to stop me. Her enraged cry followed me down the hall. "Ethan Cole, you bastard." I heard Julian's voice trying to comfort her. "Isabelle, don't be upset. Let him go. You still have me." I returned to the place I had once despised, my family home. I remembered that year, my mother tearfully begging me not to leave for Isabelle. But back then, Isabelle was my entire world. I would have given up everything just to be with her. Who could have predicted it would end like this? Thinking back, I was so incredibly devoted, and so incredibly foolish. Pushing open the heavy doors, the feeling of homecoming was unexpectedly pleasant. Milk baths, fresh flowers, attentive maids. Every need. Anticipated, every comfort provided. This was how my life was supposed to be, not stuck in that small company, orbiting Isabelle Vance. Ethan, a woman burst into the bathroom. I turned. It was Chloe Lockwood. We were practically childhood friends. When we were kids, she used to bully me, making me promise I'd marry her when we grew up. Later, we attended the same university. She was bold, pursuing me openly, flamboyantly. For 4 years, everyone knew that Campus Belle of the arts department was crazy about me. And I was crazy about Isabelle. Chloe, this is the bathroom. I'm taking a bath. I tried to shoo her out. She just grinned, mischief dancing in her eyes. I know. She picked up a bucket of cold water from beside the tub and promptly dumped it over my head. Are you crazy? I sputtered. She looked utterly pleased with herself. Serves you right. For how you treated me back then, and for leaving without a word. I wanted to argue, but couldn't. Deep down, I knew I owed her an apology. I remembered the day she confessed her feelings, flowers in hand, in front of everyone. And how I, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, had thrown them in the trash, loudly, warning her to leave me alone. I heard later she'd cried for hours in her dorm room. I'd thought about explaining, but worried Isabelle might misunderstand, so I let it go. In reality, Isabelle probably wouldn't have cared less who liked me back then. I'm sorry, Chloe, I sighed, defeated. You're right, I was wrong back then. Can you please leave now? Chloe sniffed dismissively, turned, and left. I breathed a sigh of relief. 20 minutes later, wrapped in a bathrobe, I stepped out. My mother was waiting right outside the door, grabbing my arm impatiently. Hurry up. They've been waiting for you for half an hour. I was bewildered. Who? I just got home. Who's waiting? Mom, you must be mistaken. Who else? Your bride, of course. Before I could process this, she had dragged me into the living room and pushed me onto the sofa. Sitting opposite me was none other than Chloe Lockwood. Even in my days, the pieces clicked into place. My arranged bride was Chloe. When I told Mom I was coming home, I hadn't even considered who the bride might be. You two chat. I'll just head upstairs, Mom said brightly, already halfway up the staircase. Clearly, she was determined to get grandchildren. Looking at Chloe, I felt awkward. Chloe, you don't have to do this. I know I hurt you back then, but marrying me for revenge? This is your whole life we're talking about. Chloe stared at me, her expression unreadable. I'm not marrying you for revenge. Then what is this? She stood up, walked over, and leaned close, whispering in my ear. Nothing. I just want to marry you. Why? Because I like you. My mind went blank. I'd assumed she must hate me by now. I never expected this. What? You're back home, but still can't forget that Isabelle woman. Chloe's voice sharpened slightly. I don't get it. What's so great about her? Is she richer than me? Prettier? Better figure? I managed a small smile. No. Isabelle and I are completely over. A warm sensation spread through my hand. She had taken it. So, she said softly, her eyes locking with mine. You're mine now. Looking at her, feeling the sincerity in her gaze, ripples spread through my heart. After all these years, she hadn't changed, still so bold, so genuine. Chloe leaned closer. I could smell the faint perfume she wore, feel the warmth of her breath. An undeniable stirring began within me. Flustered, I gently pushed her back. Let's calm down. I took a deep breath. She stared at me, her eyes suddenly welling up. Ethan, even without her, you still wouldn't choose me? Her voice held the same wounded vulnerability I remembered from childhood, from the day I rejected her. Memories surfaced. Me, small for my age, constantly bullied. Chloe, always there, standing protectively in front of me, facing down the bigger kids. You leave him alone, she'd shout. Later, in middle school, intercepting love notes meant for me. Tearing them up. Threatening to tell my parents if I dared to date early. The day after my high school graduation, when my father passed away, she'd stayed with me for hours, talking quietly, holding my hand tightly, promising she'd always be there. I couldn't deny it. I had felt something for Chloe back then. If it hadn't been for Isabelle, maybe we would have been together long ago. Looking into her tear-filled eyes now, I couldn't hide my feelings any longer. Don't cry, I said softly. We're husband and wife now, technically. If anyone sees you like this, they'll think I've been hitting you. My words broke the spell. Chloe's tears vanished, replaced by a radiant smile. You said it. We're husband and wife. With that, she climbed onto my lap. What are you doing? I asked, startled. Since we're husband and wife, she murmured, her eyes sparkling, we should do what married couples do. The next moment, her lips were on mine. Years of suppressed frustration and loneliness from my relationship with Isabelle ignited within me. In that instant, rational thought fled. Scooping Chloe into my arms, I carried her back to my room. The night dissolved into passion, lasting until the first light of dawn. It was probably mid-afternoon when the doorbell jolted me awake. Opening the door, I found Isabelle standing there. She looked at me, opened her mouth as if to speak, then hesitated. "What are you doing here?" I asked flatly. She held out the watch I had left behind. "Your things. You forgot this." It was the first gift she'd ever given me. I'd intentionally left it, wanting no reminders of her. I moved to close the door, but she braced her hand against it. "Do you need something else?" I asked impatiently. "Have you eaten? There's a place nearby." Her words trailed off as Chloe appeared behind me, wrapping her arms around my waist. Chloe recognized Isabelle immediately. A slow smile spread across her face as their eyes met. "Miss Vance," Chloe said sweetly. "Are you looking for my husband?" Isabelle stammered. "I know. Nothing. I'll be going." She turned and hurried away. Chloe turned back to me, her expression suddenly serious. "That ex-girlfriend of yours definitely still has feelings for you. What do you think?" "You're imagining things," I said, trying to dismiss it. Chloe frowned, poking my chest. "Trust me, it's a woman's intuition. I'm telling you, stay away from her from now on." I looked down at her serious face and nodded. "Okay, whatever you say." As the words left my mouth, Chloe threw her arms around my neck and kissed me deeply. I held her close, responding to her kiss, feeling the rhythm of her breathing. Later that evening, a contact request popped up on my phone. Julian Hayes. After a moment's hesitation, I accepted. Almost immediately, a message arrived. "Since you and Isabelle broke up, can you please stop bothering her?" Before I could even react, another message followed. "Do you know Isabelle missed our date today because she went to give you something? This is all your fault. I suggest you understand your place. Stop interfering in our lives." Reading his messages, I could only find them laughable. In the past, Julian had always been Isabelle's top priority. I remembered being sick with a fever a year ago, barely able to move, asking Isabelle to get me some medicine. She'd brush me off, saying Julian had a work emergency and needed her help. She hung up before I could say more. Later, I found out the work emergency was a lie. She just hadn't wanted to come home. She found me troublesome. Yet today, she had actually ditched Julian's date to bring me that damn watch. I picked up my phone, intending to block him. Suddenly, a hand reached over my shoulder and plucked the phone away. It was Chloe. She took the phone and snuggled into my arms. "Since you've broken up," she murmured, "don't overthink things." I held her close, nodding fondly. I was just going to block him. These irrelevant people, no point keeping them around." Hearing this, Chloe hugged me tighter. "There's a party tomorrow night. Let's go together? It's a good chance for me to properly introduce you." I smiled and agreed. Chloe immediately switched off the light and kissed me again, fiercely. I woke early the next morning. Gazing at Chloe sleeping peacefully beside me, my heart beat faster. As I watched, mesmerized, she stirred and woke up, stretching languidly in my arms. "What time is it?" she mumbled sleepily. I wrapped my arms around her waist. "Just past 9. Chloe shot upright. "Quick, we need to get ready." Before I could react, she was pulling me towards the bathroom. The moment the door closed, she started unbuttoning my pajama top. I instinctively clutched it closed. "What are you doing?" Chloe looked at me as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "Showering? We got pretty sweaty last night, didn't we? Aren't you going to wash?" I edged towards the door, stammering. "Wash? Yes, of course. But you first. I'll go after you're done." I tried to slip out. Chloe grabbed my sleeve, pulling too hard. The fabric ripped. "We're married," she said, raising an eyebrow. "Don't tell me you're still shy." I looked down at the torn pajama top and nodded meekly. Chloe burst out laughing. "All right, stop dithering. Come scrub my back." She had already shed her own nightgown while speaking. Seeing her standing there, radiant and unashamed, made my heart pound. After a long moment, I managed a quiet, "Okay." It was past 11 by the time Chloe and I finally left the house. She wore a stunning emerald green couture gown. The fishtail design accentuated her perfect figure, and her long hair cascaded loosely down her back. Standing by the door, I couldn't take my eyes off her. Noticing my stare, Chloe walked over. "What?" she teased. "Am I too beautiful?" I took her arm naturally, smiling. "Yes, absolutely beautiful." Hearing my words, Chloe beamed. "A lot of my friends will be at the party tonight. I'll introduce you to everyone." At her words, a knot tightened in my chest. It wasn't until Chloe called my name again that I snapped back to reality. Okay. It struck me then. Isabelle and I had been together for years, yet she had never introduced me to a single one of her friends. From start to finish, it had all been one-sided devotion on my part. Pushing the thought away, I followed Chloe to the party. It was a joint event hosted by several prominent families in the capital, primarily a networking and matchmaking affair. As soon as we entered, people greeted Chloe warmly. She introduced me without hesitation, her voice clear and proud. "This is my husband, Ethan Cole." I responded politely to each introduction. As the party got underway, I spotted two familiar figures across the room, Isabelle and Julian. I started to look away, but my eyes met Isabelle's. Her gaze held a flicker of desperate hope. I didn't respond. Instead, I deliberately shifted my gaze away, pulling Chloe closer. I picked up a strawberry from a nearby platter and held it to her lips. Chloe blinked in surprise for a second, then quickly ate it. Anything fed by my husband tastes sweeter," she declared, then picked up another strawberry and offered it to me. "Sweet?" she asked, tilting her head up, her exquisite face close to mine. I nodded. "Sweet." Midway through the party, Chloe went off to chat with some old friends. With nothing else to do, I headed towards the restroom. On my way back, I bumped into someone. Isabelle. Maybe it was my imagination, but she looked incredibly flustered. I tried to walk past. "Don't go," she pleaded, grabbing my arm. I pulled my arm free. "We're finished, Isabelle. Please stop bothering me." I turned to leave again, but she threw her arms around me, clinging tightly. If this had happened before, I would have held her close, never wanting to let go. Now, I just felt revulsion. I forcibly pried her hands off me, stepping back. "I told you we are over," I said sharply. "Besides, I'm married now. Please, stop interfering in my life and causing unnecessary trouble." Isabelle stared at me, her eyes red-rimmed. I'd never seen her look so vulnerable. "Ethan, are you really married?" Her voice trembled. "Aren't you just angry with me?" I looked her straight in the eye, without hesitation. "Yes, I'm married. My wife is Chloe Lockwood, and I like her very much." Even with my explicit words, disbelief wore on her face. She reached for my hand again, but I pulled it away sharply. Isabelle froze at the rejection. "Ethan, I know I was wrong," she whispered, tears finally spilling over. "Do you know, after you left, I thought about you every single day? It's always been you, Ethan. Only you." Her voice broke. "Please forgive me." This was the first time she had ever apologized. In all our years together, after every argument, she'd never yielded. She'd give me the silent treatment. Disappear, waiting for me to crawl back, apologize, buy her gifts, coax her back into a good mood. Never once had she looked back or acknowledged my pain. I looked at her now, resolute. "Isabelle, there's no chance for us anymore. Let's just part ways peacefully." She opened her mouth to say more, but just then, Chloe reappeared. I started to explain, worried she might misunderstand. But Chloe simply threw herself into my arms and planted a kiss on my cheek. "Darling, I was wondering where you'd gone," she said brightly, turning a dismissive look on Isabelle. "Turns out you got tangled up with this little green tea." She toothed, glancing down at my suit. Jacket where Isabelle had clung to me. Such a shame about this suit, too. I picked it out myself. She reached over, pulled off my jacket, and tossed it into a nearby trash bin. Honestly, what a waste. Then, Chloe stepped right up to Isabelle, her smile dangerously sweet. "Could you please stop bothering my husband in the future?" "Okay." Isabelle's face turned pale, then flushed with anger. Before she could retort, Chloe had taken my arm and steered me away. "See, Ethan," Chloe murmured as we walked. "I told you she still had feelings for you." I took her hand. "Yes, you're always right." Moments later, Chloe led me onto the low stage at the front of the room, picked up a microphone, and addressed the crowd. Her voice rang out clearly, announcing that I, Ethan Cole, was her husband. The announcement was met with a wave of warm applause. Everyone seemed genuinely happy for us. Everyone except Isabelle. She stood frozen below the stage, biting her lip hard, her eyes fixed on me with a look of pure hostility. Finally, unable to bear it, she turned and fled the party. Julian, oblivious, naturally blamed me. He found me later, his tone aggressive. "Ethan, what the hell did you say to Isabelle?" His voice was tight with anger. "Didn't I tell you to stay away from us?" I knew words wouldn't convince him. "You want to know?" "What happened?" he demanded immediately. Without another word, I led him to the security office and had the guard pull up the footage from the hallway camera outside the restroom. The video clearly showed Isabelle approaching me, clinging to me, her desperate words captured perfectly by the microphone nearby. Julian watched, his face growing paler and tighter with every second. When it finished, he looked utterly devastated. "Why?" he whispered, his voice choked. "Why is she still thinking about you? What do you have that I don't?" He grabbed the front of my shirt, his knuckles white, his face contorted with pain and fury. I looked at him steadily. "Why don't you go ask her yourself?" He stared at me for a long moment, the fight draining out of him. Finally, his hands dropped. He slumped onto the floor of the security room, alone. I didn't say anything else. I just found Chloe, and we left. That night, However, several hashtags exploded across the internet. Hashtag Vance Eris Heartbroken. Hashtag Julian Hayes Revenge on X. A video of Isabelle, blind drunk in a high-end bar, had gone viral. The content was shocking. After leaving the party, she'd gone straight to the bar and started downing drinks, bottle after bottle. Ethan Cole, she screamed slurrily in the video, oblivious to the surrounding patrons filming her. Why did you throw me away? Can't you come back? Look at me. I miss you so much. I know I was wrong. I never really loved Julian. He was just a game. I only did it to make you jealous. To make you come running back. I only ever loved you. I thought no matter what I did, you'd never leave me. I was wrong. Why did you get married? Why couldn't you just wait? Why won't you look back at me? The camera panned slightly. Standing just inside the bar entrance, unseen by Isabelle, was Julian Hayes. He had heard every word. His face a mask of disbelief, he strode forward, grabbing Isabelle's shoulders fiercely. Isabelle, was everything you just said true? Isabelle peered at him blearily, then laughed. Yeah, it's all true. So what? Julian released her, his voice numb. Then proposing to me? Asking me to marry you? What was that? Isabelle paused, thinking. Huh? The proposal? She waved a dismissive hand. Oh, that was just for Ethan. I love seeing him jealous. I wanted him to come and coax me. Julian's eyes were red-rimmed. And what about me? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. Isabelle took another large gulp of her drink, utterly indifferent. You're nothing. She turned and walked out of the bar without a backward glance. The video ended there. I thought that would be the extent of it. But an hour later, Isabelle's name was trending again, this time accompanied by a flood of scandalous revelations. Hashtag Isabelle Vance High School Bully. Hashtag Isabelle Vance Unwed Pregnancy. There were even copies of supposed prenatal checkup reports posted online. The source of the leaks? Julian Hayes. His revenge was swift and brutal. Given the severity of the accusations, Isabelle needed to respond, to deny, to clarify. But the night passed, and then the morning, in complete silence from her side. Her social media comment sections exploded, filled almost entirely with vicious attacks and condemnation. Seeing it all unfold, I felt a strange sense of detached satisfaction. Just then, our doorbell rang. Chloe went to answer it. Standing on the doorstep was a figure I barely recognized. Hair tangled and matted, clothes torn and dirty, reeking of stale alcohol. After a long moment, I realized it was Isabelle. I walked over, intending to close the door firmly. She thrust her hand into the opening, blocking it. She looked up at me, her eyes filled with a desperate, raw helplessness. What do you want? I asked coldly. I just wanted to see you. Her voice was hoarse. You've seen me. You can go now. Even after my blunt dismissal, she didn't move. Ethan, I'm all alone now. Her words didn't surprise me. After the scandal broke last night, the Vance family must have moved quickly. This morning, news outlets reported that they had officially disowned her. With multiple children in a strict family reputation to uphold, Isabelle's transgressions were unforgivable, especially given the potential impact on the family's business dealings. Cutting ties was the logical, albeit ruthless, choice. That has absolutely nothing to do with me, I stated, offering no shred of sympathy. Her eyes dimmed further. What about all our years together? Do they mean nothing to you now? A cold, humorless laugh almost escaped me. Yes, nothing. I hardened my voice. Can you please leave? You're not welcome here. And please, stop bothering my wife and me in the future. Seeing my absolute resolve, Isabelle finally lowered her hand and stumbled away. Turning back inside, I saw Chloe had set the table with a lavish spread of food. Every dish was one of my favorites. Even after all these years, she remembered. Sitting down, Chloe placed a piece of shrimp on my plate. Try this. I made it myself. I popped it in my mouth. It was delicious, exactly the same taste I remembered from years ago. It's amazing. Good. Then I'll cook for you every day, she beamed. I hesitated for a moment. Well, since you're my wife, I can't let you do all the cooking, I said gently. From now on, that's my job. Your job is just to eat, relax, and enjoy yourself. Chloe's eyes lit up. Okay, husband. After dinner, Chloe and I were planning to go for a walk when we heard a sickening thud from outside, followed by shouts. A crowd was gathering near the northwest side of the complex. Someone jumped, a voice cried out. The apartment buildings in our complex were tall, mostly over 40 stories. A fall from that height. Curiosity mingled with a strange sense of foreboding. Chloe and I walked closer. Even from a distance, we could see the figure lying crumpled on the ground, wearing a maroon top and black shorts. The same clothes Isabelle had been wearing when she came to the door earlier. We didn't go any closer. We simply turned around and walked back home. It was finally over.